Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm Kenzie if you don't know me. I'm hopefully a future therapist. I have a love of both cozy and adventurous hobbies, and my channel is all about becoming the kind of woman who feels at home with herself and who can embrace both her softness and her grit. And here on my channel, I like to talk about routines, growth, finances, hobbies, anything like that. So if that interests you, definitely hit the subscribe button. So today I'm going to be walking you through how I budget my paycheck and my payday routine. Now, in my last payday video, that was my last pay of July. So this is actually going to be my first pay of August. So my last video was the last pay of the month, and this one is the first pay. So if you watch both, you get to kind of see how I approach my payday routine a little bit differently depending on what point in the month we're at. And then August is also a 3 paycheck month, so that changes things a little bit as well. So just to give context about myself and my financial situation, I'm 23 years old and I live in Alberta, Canada. I work full-time in social services and I'm also a student technically. I wrapped up all my coursework for my Bachelor of Arts in Psychology, but I'm in the honors program, so I'm just finishing up my research this year while I'm working full-time. I don't have any debt, so I'm very fortunate to have learned financial literacy at a young age from my family. So that has definitely given me an advantage. I'm not super high income, but I do work very hard to find decently paying jobs for my position in life. In the grand scheme of things, if you look at like the total population as a whole, I am probably a lower earner, but I think if you look at my demographic, I am higher earning. So I basically just have a standard for what I'm going to work for. I've spent a lot of time working as a server and bartender, so that is pretty well paying with tips. So that kind of has helped me avoid debt. I do have multiple streams of income. So as I mentioned, I work full-time in social services. I also am a server bartender part-time, and I'm also a dance teacher. Now in the summer, I don't do a ton of paid dance teaching work or choreography work, but the actual season kicks off in September, so that will be a more significant part of my income going forward. July 2025 was my last month paying rent, which is super exciting. I live in a small town in Alberta, Canada, but I obviously had to live in a city to attend university. So I had to pay rent and everything in the city that I was attending university for. So my lease was up in July, so I paid rent in July, and then this month is my first month in quite a while not paying rent. So that is super exciting. But I do live at home with my parents for the time being, and that is how I'm saving on my rent payment. But basically my financial goals at this point are investing as much as possible while I am young. I really want to take advantage of compound interest, but I also am at a phase in my life where I do realistically need to save for purchases. I think in the past, I kind of just put the majority of all my extra income into investments because, again, I do want to take advantage of compound interest. However, I am trying to find more of a balance. And for my phase of life, which I don't think is dictated by my age necessarily, I'm 23, but I think you could be at this point in your life at 19, 35, 50, like it doesn't really matter. But for me, first of all, I am saving for an emergency fund. I want a fully funded emergency fund. So I have a good amount right now, but I want it to be enough for in the future when I have a mortgage and a family. So I'm just continually contributing to that. I also need to buy a vehicle. I need to be able to get places. So one of my goals is purchasing a vehicle in cash next year. I don't really want a car payment just because I don't love the interest rates. And I also would ideally like to keep my fixed expenses as low as possible. So I'm currently saving aggressively for a vehicle to purchase next spring. I also want to pursue grad school in the future to become a therapist, so I need to save up for that. Tuition is not cheap by any means. I would also like to buy a new dirt bike next year, potentially. Again, not a priority, but it is one of my hobbies and I've been eyeing them up, so we'll see. And then another goal is buying a home in the next few years. I am also in a serious long-term relationship, but at this time our finances are totally separate. We don't live together. So yeah, what we are looking at today is just single income, single living situation essentially. So today I'm just showing you one paycheck from my regular 9-to-5 social services job. I did just accept a new role within the same company. I used to be a wage employee and I am now like a permanent salaried role. But what you're seeing today is my last wage paycheck. So I just accepted a salaried role, so my paychecks going forward will be based on that. But this one is still my wage one, if that makes sense. This paycheck also included a bit of time off, so it is a bit lower because I was a wage employee and didn't have PTO. Let's get into how exactly I'm budgeting this paycheck. Just this paycheck was $1,575. And again, this is the first pay of August. And this goes straight into my checking account. So I check my checking account, make sure that amount was deposited. And then I basically add my pay amount to the income section of my spreadsheet. I enter that in. I haven't gotten any serving pay yet, but I did get a small amount from some dance teaching work I did in July. So the first thing I do pretty much every payday is pay off my credit cards. I have 2 different Visa cards and I collect Avion points. So I take that $15.75 and then however much my credit card balances are, I transfer that over straight from my checking account. Next, I look at my budget and then I just see for this pay period, what are any of my bills that need to be paid. So previously, rent was included in this, but this is the first month that I don't have that. So my bills are pretty easy breezy going forward. It's the first of the month, so my phone bill is due on like the 8th or something. So I'm gonna do that right now. So I'm with TELUS and I pay them directly through my banking app. So I'm just going to pay them $94.63 straight to TELUS. And then all of my other bills and like subscriptions and whatnot are automatically taken out of my account or charged to my credit card. So for bills, that is pretty much all I have to worry about right now. After making sure my bills are good, I then move on to savings. Because this is my first pay of the month, I typically like to focus on my emergency fund first, just so that's out of the way. If anything comes up in the rest of the month for some reason, anything can happen. So in August, I am contributing $500 to my emergency fund. And then my other savings goal, as I mentioned, I want to buy a vehicle in cash in the springtime. So I am saving aggressively for that. So in August, it is a 3 paycheck month. So I thought, you know what? I'm going to save $2,000 this month for the car. For this pay period from this paycheck from this job, I'm going to put $250 there. For my sinking funds for this pay, I'm not putting anything towards my sinking funds. I will focus on those more with my second and third paychecks and my other streams of income this month. So if I were contributing to my sinking funds with this pay, I would transfer that along with the $750 that I'm contributing towards my emergency fund and vehicle savings. So I make that transfer in my banking account, and then what I do is I update my balances in my Financial app. This app is basically just where I track my balances of my different savings and sinking fund goals. I know with certain banks you can have separate like pots, or you can split up your account into like little buckets for different savings goals. For me, I just have one high interest savings account that I just dump it all into, and then this is the app that I keep track of how much of that money is allotted to what goal. And the app is pretty fun. I think you have to pay for like the pro version to actually use like the budget part of it. But I don't pay for anything. I don't use the budget part. I just use the trackers. And I think it's super fun because you get to pick like a cute little image. You set your goal, you can set like your timeline, and then it gives you like a little progress bar. And I think it's really fun and it helps gamify and romanticize your finances. So after I do my transfer in banking, I make sure my amounts in my Financial app are all up to date with my new amounts. Next, I'm going to look at my investments. So I invest in both my FHSA and TFSA, so first home savings account and tax-free savings account. In the past, I put more of my effort into my TFSA, but because I do want to buy a home in the next couple of years, I am starting to prioritize my FHSA a little bit more, and it's also a double whammy tax advantage account, so that doesn't hurt also. I'm not going to invest the entire amount that I have planned to invest this month with this pay, but I'm going to transfer a bit over to my investments. And then after I've covered my bills, my savings, sinking funds, investments, credit cards, I essentially just make sure everything's looking good. I am on track with my spending. Because this is the first of the month, I already wrapped up and reviewed my July spending, so there's not really anything to review currently. But typically on my payday, I like to check in with my finances. If I, for some reason, haven't inputted any transactions in a few days, I will catch up with that and input them all. So yeah, that is how I budgeted my paycheck as someone working full-time in social services, living in Alberta, Canada. And again, this is my first pay of the month. If you want to see how I budgeted my last pay of last month, I will link that video in the description. And yeah, I am really enjoying the payday routine and how I budget my paycheck videos. So I think I'll definitely be doing a lot of these going forward. I already make a lot of personal finance content, but I think this is just a really fun, kind of chill, but entertaining video to make. And I've been really enjoying watching them myself. So I think I will probably keep doing this probably at least once a month, if not every payday, we'll see. But yeah, thank you so much for watching. If there are any differences or similarities in how you do your payday routine, I would love to chat about it with you in the comments. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a great day, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.